You know what it is. You know what it is. It is Friday morning. So what it do? What it do? What it is? What it ain't. This particular Friday, as we are quickly embarking on the winter weather of December, we have quite this show. We have quite this show. So we just gonna get right into the show. It is the Ball Hawk Sports Talk, where sports, business, and entertainment collide. We do it one way and one way only. That's rough, rugged, and raw. In the building today, we have the crew, myself, and we have from the Middle Coast, the man, the myth, the legend. Thou shalt be intergalactically known and respected as. When you say his name, say it with some reverence, say it with some bass in your voice. He is the Big Flow Show. What's up, my brother?
Man, what's good? What's good? Happy Friday to everybody. Happy Friday.
Happy
It's a
Friday.
cold day in Chicago. You don't ever know what we're gonna get, but it's definitely a cold day in Chicago.
Yeah, I know you got you wanted to do something, and so before I even introduce the show, we got people coming in. I wanted to give you the time and space to do what you wanted to do before we hop in.
So I want to do a brief moment of silence for a real good friend of mine just passed away. I'm tired of saying how people passed away, died too soon. Jeff Thorne, age 53, lost a battle, hard fought battle with stomach cancer. He fought to the end, kept trying every treatment he could so he could be here for his family. Those of you guys who are fans of the Big Flow Show, maybe those who haven't been the Big Flow Show fans, you can go back and see the interview I did with him back when I first got started. In 2019, he was the Division III National Championship coach for North Central College, a D3 school, D3 powerhouse right here in Naperville, Illinois. His son, Peyton Thorne, I went to the same high school as my son. He was a Michigan State quarterback with Jay Reed and can't remember the receiver that they had. But he's there with Michigan State, and then he went on to be the Auburn coach, Auburn quarterback last year. So you may know him from that. But I can't say enough about this guy. He was one of one. You know, my son had some issues with school over where he's living, and they tried to put him out of school. You know, he's the one man that came and testified on his behalf at his hearing. A lot of people don't know that. You know, he came out there and spoke on his behalf. Just a great dude. Just a great guy. Oh, he's opened his doors up to my family. As soon as my son got to know him, man of Christ, and you know, just the world is a worse place with him gone, and was a better place because of him. So, shout out to his family, and I'd like to give a brief moment of silence to Jeff Thorne. Let's make this a great show, man. Let's get the energy up because that's what he would want. He's a man that loved life, and he'd want me to kick some ass today on the show. So we've got a lot of good topics. That was a somber moment to get started with, but let's move on and let's make this life go great, and let's make this a great show.
Indeed, man. We're gonna take advantage of the opportunity, and the opportunity is presented to us this week, most recently by the School Up North, which is referred to by Ohio State, the School Up North. The School Up North gave us the motivation to go with Hail to the Victims as a title for our show this morning. And yes, it is a play on a particular song that a particular school uses. But man, we're going to get into it this week. Michigan. That School Up North did some things this week. Some things got exposed this week, and we're going to start there before we get to Notre Dame. Sometimes you get a gift in December. It is Christmas, but we got our gift early. The gift is the college football committee did what they did. And then Sharon Moore, the head coach of the University of Michigan, did what he did. And so here at the Ball Hawk Sports Talk, where sports, business, and entertainment collide, there are a lot of sports stories that have business implications, and we about to make it entertaining. If you've never heard the Ball Hawk Sports Talk, it's where sports, business, and entertainment collide, but it is where a few businessmen get together to discuss sports in an entertaining fashion, and man, we about to be entertaining. Sharon Moore is the latest of men that fell victim to the inability to say no. And we're going to talk about just how undefeated the P is. And by the P, I mean the power of the P. I'm talking about the purse. I'm talking about the purse. This is a family-friendly show. The power of the purse. We're going to go old days where just women wear purse. So bear with me here. The power of the P, man. The P is won again. And in this case, we're going to talk each and every one of our topics has a victim. I'm going to start with the first victim of today. And it's the victim that is the University of Michigan. Michigan is a victim to the poisonous tree. Ever since Jim Harbaugh was hired there. And you got to start asking whether or not their championship trophy, all respect to you, you have a championship under Jim Harbaugh. Was it worth it? There were 7, I think, coaches from that coaching tree that have been arrested. The provost, the president.
This sound like a Trump administrator. Let me stop.
Yeah, we ain't gonna get political. Although CFP got the playoff committee got political, we're gonna stay apolitical today.
I'm sorry.
We're going right to the heart of the source of the matter, University of Michigan. We know that Jim Harbaugh was suspended for sign stealing. A whole elaborate scheme.
He borrowed them signs. He was going to bring them back. He was going to bring those signs back.
He had a 007 elaborate scheme, and you thought that would be sort of the most interesting saga that happened under Jim Harbaugh, but it was just the tip of the iceberg. Enter Sherrone Moore. You remember when he was the interim coach, and after he won the first game, he started crying?
He's my quarterback.
Yeah. That's my quarterback. That's for you, Jim Harbaugh. I knew then we was dealing with a man that wasn't wrapped that tight. Not to make fun of any mental health. So I'll make sure that I don't make light of that.
You're right, bro. Hey, Christmas around the corner. We know some people wrap things too tight. We don't criticize people that's not wrapped tight.
He's not wrapped tight. I knew when that man was crying on behalf of Jim Harbaugh. Somebody that don't pay his bills. Somebody that don't sleep in the same bed with him, I hope. Why are you crying on behalf of Jim Harbaugh, who was rightly serving a suspension because he had a 007 elaborate scheme stealing signs of other teams, and you crying on his behalf? I just hope somewhere in California, Jim Harbaugh, simple ass, better be crying on behalf of Sherrone Moore today. If I don't see a video of Jim Harbaugh crying for Sherrone Moore,
start a GoFundMe.
Something. But the fruit of the poisonous tree, Title IX, and the implication there too are on full display in Michigan. Because of their first scandal, and stay with me here, because of their first scandal, back in 2020, when we all dealing with the tragedy known as COVID-19, the provost, Martin Filbert, was found to have sexually harassed multiple members of the university, not one, multiple members of the university community, including employees and graduate students in his lab. In response, the university created policy number 201.97 prohibiting most supervisor-employee relations. In 2022, President Mark Schlissel was fired for an inappropriate relationship with a subordinate. That was a big deal because the Board of Regents found it was very egregious given his role in the reforms to prevent such behavior.
I got to stop real quick. Hey, Keith Wilkerson, I'm going to question your upbringing, man. You don't come into the room and just speak to one person. You just going to say, Bobby Brown, good morning. No, you don't see me here. I'm 300 plus pounds. You don't see me sitting here. You know what I'm saying? I'm
what up, Keith? Shout out to St. Thomas Aquinas, the illustrious St. Thomas Aquinas.
Good morning to you, Keith.
Florida area.
You see how easy that was?
Yeah, man.
I'm sorry.
All good. But
I got caught up.
St. Thomas Aquinas, Keith Wilkes is the best running back I've ever seen play the game. Down there. Keith Wilkes is the best running back I ever seen play the game. Shout out to the illustrious St. Thomas Aquinas.
Now I see why he speak to you and stuff. You out there making stories out there. You've seen a lot of good running backs in your day.
Greatest one ever, and he should be tuned in. He was at the Ohio State at one point. But guess what? We just rattled off 7. We broke the record. 7. We went 7 in a row. State championships.
Oh, I'm sorry. I done got you distracted. I got you talking about. My bad. You were saying about the other thing?
I was saying.
You were saying, I'm sorry.
That was 2022 with President Mark Schlissel, and now 2025 we got Sherrone Moore because he said, hold my beer. All these scandals, I need to join the party. the Title IX and workplace relationship stuff is huge, and I don't want to make light of that. And there have been people that have asked rhetorically, well, what did they do wrong? There's the criminal part of what Sharon Moore did wrong yesterday, and we're not going to make light of that. It's been alleged.
Could have kept it civil too. He could have just kept it at ruining his whole family life and his career. He could have left it at that.
Yep. Nope. He wanted to take one further, and there might be, and has been speculated that he's got some real challenges going on mentally right now, which I can understand, but it even predated this disclosure. All right. But for you guys who keep asking rhetorically, well, what did anybody do wrong? It was a consensual sexual relationship. If someone's your subordinate, it eliminates the ability for it to be consensual.
It's almost like them being a minor. Think of them as becoming a minor.
You are unable to engage in a air quote consensual relationship with them. And the reason behind that is because of the power imbalance. When there's a supervisor-employee relationship, there's a power imbalance. So not only was there a power imbalance with this, I'm going to call just, I don't want, she ended up being the executive assistant. And the reason why is because there's inherent risk of favoritism, coercion concerns, and hostile work environments for others. Think about it. Favoritism. She got quite the promotion. Quite the pay increase. Coercion concerns. Definitely some coercion both ways. When they brought her in the first time, she said, ain't nothing happened. Why? Coercion. And then hostile work environment. It has been stated by a lot of the reporters there locally, by people on campus. There's even a picture randomly shown on Twitter of him walking around with this lady. So there's a hostile work environment because everybody has to be on the hush-hush. I would imagine every time his wife came around, a very hostile work environment. So that's the answer to the rhetorical question. Well, what did you do wrong? It was a consensual relationship. There is no such thing when it's a subordinate. So that's victim number one, is the University of Michigan. A very hostile situation. Victim number two, the lady in blue. I'm not going to call her by name. A lot of these things are alleged. And I'm sure she'll have ample opportunity to give her side of the story. But let's call her victim number two. Victim number two is front and center right now and being sort of raked through the coals. Reputation is damaged forever. How do we feel about victim number two, the lady in blue? The staffer. Let's call her a staffer that then became executive assistant. Let's not call her by name. We're not going to do nothing. We're going to try to be professional about this. So let's call her the lady in blue. I'm
going to go on record before I talk about her and just say, at the end of the day, Sharon is the monster in this story. He's the boogeyman.
Okay.
Howsoever, it does take two to cheat, right? She does. You know, if it comes out later that he was pressuring her and doing different things, well, I mean, it is hard. You know, young. I don't know how old she is. Do we ever figure that out?
In her 30s. Okay, I think she graduated around 2013, I think it was.
So she's grown. So she knows what she's doing. She's not young. I'll take the youth part out of it because I don't even know how old Sharon Moore is. But I don't care. When you're in your 30s, you're grown. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if you're a victim. I got to hear how it came about, man. I mean, at the end of the day, she probably was attracted to the power and the position, you know, and
the power of the P, the position.
Power of the position.
Power of the P, the position. I like that.
Power of the position. I've been trying to clean it up ever since you said it. But so, you know, he has a power in the position, and some people, you know, feel like I don't like to disrespect women by saying that, well, you know, he was this and she couldn't.
Home record. Let's say it. Come on,
home record too. It's his fault though. I mean, it's not her response. She didn't get in front of the church and all her friends and stuff and say that she was never going to mess with nobody. He did.
They followed each other on social media.
That's the part where it starts to get trifling. When you're like, man, come on now. The least you could do is be rude to me when you see me. Don't speak. You probably held my kids and stuff. You know how many times he probably done picked up one of his kids when he came by the office in front of the wife? The wife probably gave her a Christmas card, a gift last year. You know what I'm saying? You were my husband all the time. She probably treated you like family. I bet she did treat you like family. Shame on you, hussy. You
I feel like you
hussy.
changing your tune now.
I
You
am.
was
The more I think
protecting her.
about it, but you know what? He's still the she's if it was crimes, she's the accessory to murder. He's the murderer, and she's accessory to murder. I mean, at the end of the day, you know there was some weirdness going on. She had got pregnant. You know, there was stories about he had a plan. He needed a big brother. He had a plan B delivered to the office. Sometimes the side stories are better than the story because then you can spend all day thinking, well, why would he have the plan B delivered to the office? Well, if the plan B was delivered to the office, of course he's going to get in trouble. But the plan, supposedly I don't know who delivers stuff like that, but that person called the university is what the rumor is.
There's a DoorDash. Allegedly, there's a DoorDash informant. This story is just salacious, man. Yeah. Hell to the victims. DoorDash got dragged in this. They caught a stray. Now you can't even get a delivery civil
suit. Is there any HIPAA compliance when it comes to DoorDash, or can they just put your business everywhere? Is that public knowledge? I can just tell everybody what we were ordering on DoorDash. But I guess there was nowhere else for him to deliver it. So you tend to think that if that is true, the way I understand Plan B to work is you have to take it immediately after your bad little oops. Because first thing I was thinking is, was she trying to trap the man, or why wouldn't you know? I think you should know in your 30s how you get pregnant. But unless he doesn't understand, that Plan B had to come right away. So you'd think it was a slip.
Well, that's where, and then we're gonna move on because there's so much to cover today, and we are getting to Notre Dame. For all y'all been talking about Notre Dame all week, you gonna get it today now. We finna get off this Michigan stuff pretty soon. You gonna get this Notre Dame work today, baby.
Let me finalize your answer to your question because I'm dancing too much.
But no. But I want to add to this. I think it's gonna help where you're going. The Plan B being delivered to the office versus being delivered to her home, I think, is a part of the coercion. You deliver it to the office because you want to make sure she takes it.
Well, yeah, she probably doesn't even know. You wanted to show up at the meeting and said, "Take this pill right here." You know what I mean? You wanted to get this
take that.
Go ahead, swallow 2 of these right here with a little sip of water. You put a little vodka in if you need to, whatever you got to go do.
I should not be laughing.
We shouldn't be laughing, but that's how I deal with stress. When things are stressful and I'm stressed, as a man, I'm over here like a man that got no sins, but I'm still stressed for him because he did so bad.
The power of the pill this time.
Yeah, the power of the pill. Yeah, that pill is powerful. But so then eventually she gets in I believe she terminates the pregnancy. And then at that point, she ends up getting double. So this stuff has happened over time. And then she gets her salary doubled. This didn't happen all last week. This has been going on for quite some time. So I don't know.
Allegedly.
So I don't really believe so he's 39, she's 32. So there's no real big age discrepancy like that. That's a safe age situation. I don't know. She's a victim in as far as if she didn't want this information to come out, and it came out, that I'll say that she's a victim in that circumstance to an extent. I don't know how the story came out. Some reports say that she denied this when she was asked about it before, but her story changed
in the summer. It was an investigation over the summer that was well documented because there were rumors that there might be inappropriate behavior. So there was an investigation. The athletic director is probably holding on to that fact with dear life because if not, he's gone next.
But no, I'm going to go back. I'm going to give her a final answer. She's a victim because at the end of the day, although she did enter into some bad behavior by her choice, the way that this thing ended with him breaking into, if these allegations are true, breaking into her home, threatening to kill himself in her house and threatening to kill her. There was rumors of some sort of stalking, which I don't know when you have time to stalk when you're the head coach. Do you recruit? How is the recruiting class this year? When did you have time to stalk? Were you hiding in the bushes? You're the head coach of Michigan, and she probably lives in Ann Arbor. What the fuck you looking? What you looking at, coach? Nothing. Why you over there behind the bushes? I don't know.
I'm sign stealing. He probably I'm going with sign stealing.
So I don't know. A lot of those things are speculative. So what made her decide to come forward? Maybe it was his behavior and how he was acting. And she started to get nervous and she didn't know what to do. Obviously, her doing that in someone else's marriage doesn't deserve to have someone bust in your house and threaten to kill himself and you. I don't
Right.
believe that those are the risks that you accept, but I don't know.
So she's the victim. You go. I'm with you on that.
I'm gonna go ahead
Now,
and say she's
to me, we turn to victim number 3 in the Moore family. He's got not one, not two, but 3 lovely, beautiful daughters, all under the age of 6, and his wife. And when you think of a hostile work environment, one of the components of the Title IX ideologies that we talked about at the beginning of the show, when you think about a hostile work environment and his wife coming around with the kids, that's who I think everybody probably feels most sorry for and can be most sympathetic to. The family. Clear victim here. You worked your entire life. Think about all the sacrifices that his wife had to make. Being a college coach is tough on the coach, but I would argue even tougher on the family.
Oh, you have to have a special kind of wife to be your coach.
You're
all
moving around. You're working all the time. You can't go to the grocery store. Luckily, his kids are too young to be in school, right? Or maybe now. I mean, the oldest 6 years old, you probably in
kindergarten.
School,
they're not gonna tease you in kindergarten.
They're not gonna tease you yet at 6. But you got to endure all of the backlash in the grocery store, the side eyes when you go to mass. There's a lot going on. And then you finally get to the top of the mountain. You are the head coach of the University of Michigan, which has been valued from a valuation standpoint, the number 5 most valuable program in all of college football, valued at about $1.83 billion. You have access to something so valuable, something so high profile. So your family is thinking that it was worth all of the sacrifice. Now he's only 39, so he got there quicker. I think that's part of the problem. That's a story for a different day. While we celebrate getting these younger coaches in place earlier, truth be told, at 39, I think he took the job at 36 or 30, whatever it was, in his 30s. You ain't ready for certain things. Life hasn't thrown you certain curveballs. But the family, when they're on the top of the mountain, man, that's quite the fall. So that's the clear victim here. More family. I'm praying for his wife and her sanity. We'll talk about Sharon Moore and his sanity, but she ain't do nothing wrong. She did everything right. Supported him, sacrificed.
It's rough. It is rough. You go through all that situation to support your man. Because again, like I've said this a lot of times, people, that coaching life is serious, boy. And a lot more than, and nothing against normal housewives or wives, a lot more than the average wife is dealing with when you have a high profile husband like that's always gone traveling. If he does great, they talking, you got to show smiles at the grocery store. If things are bad, you hear people talking trash about you and all that kind of stuff. And then to do her like this is an embarrassment. That, I mean, the good thing is when it comes to that is so many men ain't shit that it's not like she's nothing she can't get over. Like, it's not like she's got this rare ass occurrence and shit. Everybody's
I feel offended. I feel attacked. He said so many men ain't shit.
So the good thing is people are going to embrace her and they're going to reach out and support her, right? They're going to say, this you didn't deserve this.
She messed around to be the governor of Michigan when it's all said and done.
She fucking around being the governor of Ohio. It'll be so Ohio, they'll hire. Let's just rub salt in your wound and make her the governor of Ohio. But so I think there's a lot of with her, she'll have hopefully a good support system. But now she's gonna have to leave him, even if she wants to stay. She gotta go just to show her daughter.
With 3 kids, all under the age of 7.
And now the money ain't gonna be right. He's never gonna get a job again. So
no, they fired him for cause.
And he's unhireable. After he could have got his job in a couple 5-6 years, but when you pull the knife, that's done. So now you can't
in essence, he did kill himself. He killed his career with that move.
So now she can't even really dig in his check to make him pay too tough.
No.
There's nothing to garnish.
So we got to go to victim number 4. because there's also this thing out there. The optics are bad because you cheated on your wife. The optics are significantly worse. And we just gonna call it what it is. This is America that we live in. When said wife is white. The optics are significantly worse as a black man when said mistress, staffer, is white. We gonna say the stuff that a lot of people won't say here on the Ball
There's
Hogs.
one more rung. If it would have been black wife, white staffer, that's off the edge of a cliff.
Yeah.
That's off the edge of a cliff. That would have.
He would have gone one further. But we got to get to this. My man Scott Bibb, what's up, Bibb, is in the building. He says he messed it up for a lot of future black coaches. And so here it is, because we got to get the victim number 4. And while everybody might hate this particular victim, as described as victim, Sherrone Moore himself, and the black coaches that might now be categorized as untrustworthy.
Let me ask you a quick question. I don't know. You're an attorney. You're an attorney. I don't know if you did any criminal law, but if you commit suicide, are you also considered the victim?
I don't know, man.
Okay, because if that's not the case, I don't like number 4. I don't feel like he's a victim.
Well, I'm just saying number 4 in the sense of this. Here's where Sherrone Moore could be considered a victim, right? Jemele Hill came out and talked about all of the other coaches that got a second chance. See if I can find that.
Nope.
I never.
Jemele, shame on you.
All right. So just hold on. She talked about all the other.
Where's my holy water to throw it on you, Jemele Hill?
Some of the holy water.
Shame.
She talked about my own Urban Meyer, right? We talk, it's Michigan, Ohio State. And he was caught with his hand in the cookie jar, and Urban Meyer. And the day after he got fired, Fox picked him back up. Not as a coach, but every coaching job that comes available, including Michigan, Urban Meyer's name gets mentioned. And so I don't necessarily agree
booty tickling to abortions. A little booty tickle.
Not the same. They're not the same. I'm not going to say it like they're the same. Don't put me in that.
Just a little booty tickle.
They're not the same. But a booty tickle that was captured on film. Let's be clear.
That's a joke.
It was a booty tickle captured on film with a woman probably half his age. And Urban Meyer's my man, 50 grand. But I think what Jemele Hill was saying, right? And I'm going to quote Jemele Hill now. She says, quote, "Though I think Sherrone Moore is a cornball, before we start painting his firing, Mel Tucker's, and Ime Udoka's as some kind of indictment of black male coaches, let me remind you of the following names: Hugh Freeze, Bobby Petrino, Rick Pitino, Mike Price, among others. The difference is in who gets a second chance to be a head coach, and you can guess who usually gets another chance." Is Sherrone Moore a victim here too? And then the other thing, and this part of it, I'll combine them just so we can get this topic and move forward, is coaches had reported to administration that Sherrone Moore had been showing signs of erratic behavior. He had been showing signs of maybe some sort of mental anguish that he was undergoing. And the athletic director decided to fire Sherrone Moore, knowing that his whole world would collapse, knowing that his family would probably be under siege and maybe even leave him alone without any mental health professionals around him. What did he do? He acted on the erratic behavior, drove over to said staffer's house, broke into her house, allegedly, held a knife to his own neck, and threatened to kill both himself after killing or doing harm to her. Leaves there, and where do they find him and how do they find him? They find him at church, at the church house. And the authorities were able to locate him because his wife had his location. The irony of that, if you got his location, I ain't gonna go down that hole. But
he was shook. He wasn't of his right mind. Tell your locations up. Well, I'm glad, because that would have ended really bad.
But if she was able to get his location then, because there has been speculation that the wife knew the whole time. And I hate to put it out there right after we categorize her as a victim. But there have been rumors that the
So now
university
you're
had
accusing them of
for him,
swingers?
that the university had it out for him. I don't think they were swingers. I haven't heard that ring.
So you don't think he's fired if he beats Ohio State? Is what you're trying to say? Is that what you're going to get to? If they had beaten Ohio State, they'd have been straight. I'm just asking.
If they would have beat Ohio State, he would have beat
last year.
He would have beat the investigation for a second time. That's just the truth of the matter. Why? Because I just started off by telling you, Sherrod Moore had the keys to the kingdom. He had the keys to the kingdom, the head coach of a program that's valued at $1.83 billion. Is Sherrod Moore the victim here? Yes or no?
Never. He's impossible. It's impossible for him to be a victim in the situation that he caused for himself. Unless, like I asked you, technically, if you commit suicide, are you the victim? Because if that's the case, then you can self-inflict victimness to yourself. But he did this to himself. He knew he was soft. He knew he was playing with fire. And the other people that got up. So Petrino, you know what I mean? Like a lot of people gave themselves an opportunity to lay low. I'm trying to find the other dude. There was Mike Hayward was at Notre Dame.
Yeah, Mike Hayward ended up at Texas State. You said
Texas State after about a 4 or 5 year break from coaching. He ended up at Texas
His was the
State.
same thing. Back in South Bend, white, blonde woman. They had a kid together, and he
was a victim.
House, domestic violence.
He was a victim because it was a false claim of domestic violence, and the jury was out on him quick. And now Jamel Hill needed to bring him up because that was some stuff where you could say this doesn't happen this don't happen to everybody. But Mel Tucker got accused of sexually harassing a woman that tours the country to talk about how she was gang raped by a group of people. If you don't think that's not the person that you should be sending suggestive things to, then you shouldn't be in leading men, right? But he still has a chance at redemption because he was suing the university. He's doing whatever. Give it some time. You're going to probably see Mel Tucker in coaching again. I never know how to say the guys from the Celtics.
Ime Udoka.
He had a second. What do you mean? She's act like he didn't get a second chance. He coaching already. He was coaching the same year.
Yeah, he went and coached some bums. Now they're better now.
But
he went from being on the cusp of winning a world championship.
Is he in the NBA?
He is in the NBA.
Fair. Stop it. Just stop it.
Yeah.
He's still NBA
and now
coach.
He's coaching Kevin Durant.
So the only reason why Sherrod Moore couldn't survive this at all and not make any sort of comeback, he wanted to kill himself and he broke into their house and wanted to kill. That's the biggest part of it. And to be honest,
understand.
And to be honest, if I'm being fair, let's be fair. They're kind of going easy on him on that. They didn't even say arrested. They gave him preferential
detained. Because of mental health. And someone says this, I don't know the name, but I appreciate you guys joining us. And it's the perfect time. So I think this is a new live audience member. Like we ask you every week, humbly, please like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anyone that you know, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel and the podcast. We about to get into this Notre Dame thing in a minute too.
Whoever Panorama Mary is 3283. Appreciate you coming out.
But he says, not a victim, but definitely has some mental health issues, and that's where I think that the university.
Now you giving excuses to the next man to get caught up. He's gonna claim mental health. What are you gonna say? The first thing was you claim sex addiction, which I told everybody he should have tried to claim sex addiction. If he didn't kill it, it's the knife. He fucked up. The knife thing is fucked up. You can't do nothing with that. Once you bust in her house, there's so many charges.
Yeah,
but they're giving him kick gloves. If you ask me, they're giving him kick gloves. We haven't seen that drawn everywhere. No, we haven't yet to see a mug shot or anything like that. For no
perp walk, none of that. They did show the mug shot. They showed the mug shot.
I didn't see it. Okay.
Yeah, there's a mug shot out there, but no perp walk.
No perp walk. And they didn't even say arrested. They said detained. They made it seem like they were more concerned with his life. So, you know what, man? For Donkey of the Day, Donkey of the Year, he probably was a buzzer beater for Donkey of the Year. If I would say, we got to talk to Charlamagne the Guy and see what he says.
Hell no. Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp had 50 million sitting around talking. And he messed with a girl half his age, just a OnlyFans model.
No, he was using so many black men, white women. Chuck, you're right.
Shannon Sharp had the nerve to comment on this. Shannon Sharp had the nerve to comment on Notre Dame.
Because he survived. Because he survived it all. So, Sherman,
I don't dare throw stones, but Sherrod Moore, it's tough, man. It's tough watching you go through this. but it's a lot tougher watching your family go through it. And the coaches that get piled into this. Jamel Hill has a point.
Too soon.
It's too soon, but it is also too true. But we know it's true. It's like, if I know the rules of the game before the game starts, I can't be mad if I get caught breaking one of those rules when I knew the rules before the game started. And while it might not be fair, it's real. As a leader amongst men, young men, especially in that seat, one of the most coveted coaching positions in all of football.
All the sports.
$1.83 billion valuation. You know the rules of the game. And that's where I can't be too sympathetic. I am sympathetic to what seems like a mental health episode, because it sounded like it was ramping up to that prior to this. And this was London bridges falling down. And look, you holding a knife to your own throat and threatening someone else's life. That's why they have, mitigating circumstances. Murder versus homicide is just mitigating circumstances, right? It's just where you were mentally. What is your mens rea? What is your mental state of being in that point? I do think he's going through a mental health episode. You giving
self-induced. You can't have. Come on, man. Maybe
I give you self-induced, but still a mental health episode.
You put me on the spot. Let's go to the green room and have this conversation. You can't do that and then claim mental health. You can't do that. You can't do that, man. That's like breaking into my house and then claiming you were scared for your life when you saw me, so you had to shoot me. What the fuck? You can't do that. Claim self-defense.
That's what they do in Florida.
What you broke in my house?
Texas.
You can't do that type of stuff. You can't claim mental health when you fucked your whole life up on your own. And then all of a sudden you're like, I'm going to kill myself. Maybe you should have thought.
I just don't understand why they continued the relationship after they were under investigation. They felt invincible.
That's where I wonder if she was like, look, motherfucker, stop calling me, man. They watching. And she had to come and change her mind. It's going to come out why she had to change her story. It had to come out because she's not a minor. It'll come out at some point why she changed her story. But maybe he was tripping, man. The man bust into her house and got a knife and held it to his own neck. That alone lets you know this dude is crazy as fuck, right?
Yeah. Not a gun, a knife.
A knife to his own neck. I'm gonna kill him. I promise. You get any closer, I'm gonna kill him. Man, go sit down. I hate to make the joke, but sometimes things are so stupid. You're like, man, what are you doing, man?
Same person, Panorama. I don't have my glasses, but I like that comment from a live audience. Says he'd been fired anyway. They were trying to get a better coach. He just provided him with the perfect for-cause reason. And you got to remember, the fruit of the poisonous tree, both the culture of sexual harassment and, masculine toxicity existed on the campus, led largely by Jim Harbaugh. And Jim Harbaugh signed off on this. He had something in his contract that guaranteed Sharon Moore the job. I don't know, man. Does this put a stain on Jim Harbaugh's legacy at the University of Michigan? Because this is from the fruit of the poisonous tree. And that tree is deeply rooted in Jim Harbaugh. Last word on it. Do you think this puts a stain on Jim Harbaugh, the championship? I mean, all of this seems like you have to start asking, is it worth it? Were Michigan fans, the University of Michigan, are they victim to this quest of winning a championship? So many people have thrown it in our face. Notre Dame ain't won since 1988. And we're going to get to the Notre Dame thing. And you can substitute Notre Dame for any other of the programs. LSU, is everybody so thirsty to win that they'll turn a blind eye to what is a horrible culture. And it seems like, by all accounts, from a leadership standpoint, a horrible human being.
I think it depends on how many recruits they lose and how far they fall next year. Otherwise, it's worth it. Everything's worth a championship as far as schools are concerned. No minors were harmed. There's no children involved. At the end of the day, sign stealing Didn't matter. They won that same year anyway. I don't know what the other people got arrested for, but at the end of the day, more will be. They don't care. They could care less about him. He's done. He's out. Whatever. This staffer, they don't care. They'll give her some bread. Now they got all this extra bread from his buyout that they didn't have to have, so they can give her a little bread for her little lawsuit she's going to come up with. They don't. It's worth it. They won a championship. They won 2 or 3 Big Ten titles in the championship. They don't care. They care. They're gonna act like they care, but it was worth it. Let's say that they care, but it was worth it.
I just gotta ask, man. Like, wars have been started for the power of the P. That purse is crazy.
Yeah.
And now, in the case of Mars versus Venus, we lose again, man. Are we victims here? Are the men just victims? It's interesting if you think about Title IX and how we're trying to increase the presence of women on college campuses, but especially in college sports. And yet, the increase in terms of these sort of events. It's like the more we build up an environment where men and women can coexist in leadership positions, especially in college sports, which is big business, the more we see these stories happening. And I'm joking, but not. It's like literally undefeated. The power of the P is undefeated. Another one bites the dust. Sharon Moore, I'm wishing you nothing but the best when it comes to your mental health. But damn, man. Damn. And in other ways, I'm thanking him. Because Notre Dame was definitely headed for Donkey of the Week. And I'm going to tell you why. Just in terms of like, we were losing when it came to the court of public opinion throughout the week. Everybody says if you're explaining, you're losing. We spent the whole week explaining. And I'll come full circle. But Sharon Moore said, hold my beer. But victim number 5 is Notre Dame, not because of that, but because of the fact that they were snubbed by the college football playoffs. Turn the sound up on whatever device you are listening to. If you're listening to the recording of this, I have to warn you, it's about to get real. Did the college football playoffs truly snub Notre Dame? Was Notre Dame football a victim? There have been people, including Vegas, that have said that this team was good enough to win it all. They'll be watching the college football playoffs from home. Is Notre Dame football a victim of the college football playoff committee process?
Yeah, they're victim of a conspiracy, a controlled conspiracy. And I'll tell you why. I put
a conspiracy? That boy using big words. I know you upset. A conspiracy. It's C-O-N.
The one missing piece I don't have. Why did the Baylor AD step down? I need to find that. If anybody knows why the Baylor
from the playoff committee. Great question.
Playoff committee, because I don't know how close to the end. How long has this guy from Arkansas been the head?
Mid-season. It happened like mid-season. You're right.
So what? I don't know what happened. But this is a conspiracy. And let me tell you why it's a conspiracy.
Let's go.
On December 2nd. So every week they come out with this thing, right? And everybody saw, okay, Notre Dame was way, way, way ahead of Miami in the polls, right?
Yep.
So like, okay, well, we can't put them ahead. You know, if we think they're the 18th or 19th ranked team, we can't just put them in the playoffs because Notre Dame's there. So as they started to get closer and they started figuring out there was a way they could do it, they had one last piece they couldn't do, right? So if you listen to the guy from Arkansas, I don't want to say his name out there, give him any unnecessary attention. He wanted to have a conversation, say, hey, yeah, you know, Alabama lost, and we didn't want to penalize them for losing the SEC championship, right? Even though they lost to Florida State, and even though they lost, who was the other loss to?
Alabama lost to Georgia.
No, they beat Georgia.
The second time they lost to Georgia in the SEC championship.
Whoever.
Alabama lost to Florida State, and Alabama lost to Ole Miss, I think. Is that the other loss? I don't remember the other loss.
Anyway, it could have been. Ole Miss lost to Georgia. So anyway, long story short, so they were like, we don't want to move them back, right? But then they moved BYU back when they lost. Pretty similar loss. BYU lost by 7 more points than Bama lost, but they both got blown out.
6. 6.
6 points difference. And BYU lost to a team that they had already lost to.
So technically, they only lost to one team.
To one team.
All year.
They just lost to them twice the whole year, right? They moved them back.
Oklahoma was who they lost to. Thank you, George West. Oklahoma. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
Our audience is bad to the bone. They lost to Oklahoma.
They lost to Oklahoma. They lose in the SEC championship poorly. They don't move anywhere. They say that we're going to keep them right there. But in the same speech, he didn't even wait for another speech. He says, and then we looked and saw BYU and what happened with them to Texas Tech, and we figured now Miami's better than them. But that never sat well with me. So I started doing a little research, right? Mm-hmm. And I looked at the December 2nd.
Hold on. Before you do that, I got to set it up. Hold on. I got to set it up. Hold on. I got to set it up. You started doing what? Some what?
Research.
Here we go. Hold on. Here we go.
Okay.
Reggie's research coming to you on the Ball Hog Sports Talk. Give us some of that Reggie research.
Okay, so was it Sundays that the parents come out or all the stuff comes out?
They normally the show used to be on Tuesdays.
Okay, on Tuesday.
The last show was Sunday, but yes, throughout the week it was on
Tuesday, the 25th of November. Mm-hmm. Notre Dame was ranked 1 ahead of Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
That Saturday, Alabama played Auburn. Iron Bowl, I believe they call it.
They call that the Iron Bowl.
Auburn that's not having a good season, that fired their coach. Makeshift kind of program at this point. And they went down to the last possession or two before they won by
Auburn fumbled. Auburn was going in for the score and fumbled the ball on their side of going in, I should say.
And the same week, Notre Dame is playing Stanford and beats them by 20, but really it wasn't that close. At the end of the day, we let everybody play. We put everybody in there that they didn't think was getting there, and they let them get 20 points, but really we beat them by it was a beatdown.
Here, side note, if we could do it all over again, the other victim here is Marcus Freeman having a heart. Because even in that game, it was 49-20, and we had issues with our field goal kicker. The color commentator is saying, I wouldn't be upset with they kick a field goal here because they've had issues with the operation of their field goal, so much so that the PAT that ended up being the difference in us getting in or not, the 1 point loss to Texas A&M was a byproduct of the operation.
Mm-hmm.
Operation means the mechanics of getting the kick snapped, getting the kick held, getting the kick kicked. The color commentator is saying, I wouldn't be mad at Notre Dame since they've had field goal issues to try a chip shot here. We're at about the 15 to 16-yard line. Going from 49 to 52, it would have been the same thing that Miami did in their last score against Pittsburgh. So the other victim here is Marcus Freeman's conscience. Don't be a good man next time, Marcus Freeman. Beat the hell out of everybody. That's what they are asking us to do at this point in order to get into the playoffs. I digress. Back to you, Reggie.
Field goal or not. Anyone out there, and I hope we have a couple Notre Dame haters that are out there, I want you to comment and tell me, does a 20-point victory that we had, 20-some point victory, make you lose a position to somebody who won because someone fumbled at the end of the game, a 500 team fumbled in the game? Because on the 2nd of December, Alabama suddenly jumped us in the playoff picture.
I'll answer it because I know what they're going to say. Yeah, but I'm looking for it in the comment. But Stanford ain't in the SEC. Auburn's much better. Auburn was terrible this year, so much so that their coach got canned. But I'm building in the SEC bias because I know that's the response because I've seen it all week. Don't make sense to me, but people who are irrational rationalize stuff that don't make sense.
Well, my point in this is they knew what they wanted to do. So at this point, on December 2nd, it was impossible for Notre Dame to make the playoffs. It was already over. We shouldn't even been involved in the conversation anymore because they needed to move Alabama up above Notre Dame.
So why is that? Because I'm going to get me to my next point.
Because the only way to move Miami over Notre Dame is to say what? Well, when they touch each other, now head to head, but they have to be touching. right?
But
So,
me just go ahead.
going into this game, BYU was between them. They knew Texas Tech would beat BYU, right? That they already beat them the one time. We knew they were going to beat them. Now they're going to touch. They can jump them. But had Alabama stayed there, work with me, and Miami's there and Alabama's there, now you had to answer the question about the head-to-head because Miami's or Alabama's in the way. You can't jump Miami without playing over Alabama and them. But then how do you not jump them over Alabama? Alabama lost. So now you say, well, Alabama doesn't have to move because they're in the SEC and they lost the SEC championship, even though they're not even the second best team in the SEC. The only way to do it was they had to try to get us when nobody was paying attention on December 2nd. It was a weird move, but who cares? We looked like we were still in the playoffs. It didn't matter. Explain to me, and somebody needs to go back and explain to me why you jumped them when they barely won a game.
Well, he tried to. What he said was Alabama jumped out to a 17-0 lead in the first half. And now you're playing with my intelligence. When have we ever cited the first half of a damn game? And you're playing with my intelligence because when have we, and I'm going to put one of these comments up, my man Jay Crit, when have we completely disregarded the point differential? And for those of you who are saying, and you just sort of cited to it, what we all are victims of a very over-influential, dumbass media. Because when have we said, even if they have the same record, even if they are 10-2, 10-2 and 10-2 aren't the same unless you play the exact same teams. When have we disregarded the fact that some losses are really bad? When have we ever disregarded recency? It used to be forever that if you lost late in November, that hurt your case. This is the first year. When have we only made it about head-to-head? Yes, Notre Dame fans are right to bring up 1993 when Notre Dame beat Florida State because head-to-head didn't matter. Recency mattered. You lost later. All of these things that have played into the fabric of college football forever were completely disregarded because there was an agenda from the beginning to make sure that the big, bad, powerful SEC that has the biggest, most powerful relationship in terms of a TV situation, it was fabricated, or what you call it. It was set up, whatever word you use. I'll use the same verb. And they did it in plain sight. Don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. That's the part with the committee. You wasted our time for all of those Tuesdays. Yes, our athletic director had a reason to be upset. You used our name in vain. The reason that Notre Dame was wherever they were in position in relation to Alabama that entire time is because it drew people into those Tuesday sideshow, smoke and mirror, bullshit events that they had. And people watched.
So I will say this. Last week when we finished our show, I said, whoever doesn't get in should have won more games, to be fair, right?
Yep.
Because I knew that if the Miami thing came down to it, the head-to-head argument, we can't really argue with that.
But you can.
I think we're a better team. But it's one of those things where it's
not even a better team. Not even a better team. 10-2 versus 10-2. You then got to start looking at what were the two losses. When were the two losses?
That only applies to us. I mean, that doesn't apply. We know that.
What was the point differential? We lost 2 games by a grand total of 4 points to 2 teams that are in the playoffs. Yeah. This is the only year that none of those additional factors matter. People have been repeating these exact same talking points because people like Paul Feinbaum's dumbass and others. Well, head-to-head is no big. That has never been the end-all, be-all. We lost to Miami on Labor Day, an away game, a quarterback in his first game as a starter, a defensive coordinator in his first game as the DC. And those things used to be mitigating factors. But this year, because the fix was in, we ignore them. Or you asked me to ignore them. You can't ask me to be stupid, and I'm a volunteer for that. Recency has always mattered. You can't lose in November. Now, you add, because the playoff committee and college football in itself is trying to protect the sanctity of the conference championship games. So you add, we're not going to penalize. It should be, we're not going to overly penalize you for playing in a conference championship game. But if you go get your ass whooped, and if you look at the last 5 weeks of the season, you look how poorly Alabama played, including the Auburn game, the week that they jumped Notre Dame inexplicably, recency should matter. If you want the teams that are playing well,
booster that they say is the quality win against Georgia. Well, we just found out that was bullshit.
It was a fluke.
They beat your ass. They beat your ass when you had more to lose than them. You should have been playing your ass off to try to get into the playoffs, unless you already had the thing in contract and the promise. But my point was they had to put Alabama ahead of Notre Dame in the week before.
Yep.
Because they knew they were going to lose to Georgia, and they needed to have they had their argument set up for Miami to jump us at the end, but it wouldn't have worked.
Right.
If Arkansas, if Bama was there, they would have had to go behind Miami, have Miami move up. But then when you start looking at how flawed this is, and we talk about, everyone wants to talk about us being in a conference, join a conference, and I say, okay, let's look at the record.
Hold that thought. Hold that. Come. I got one more thing in before you go there, if you don't mind.
All right.
At the end of the day, victor number 6 is college football fans. Nobody in their right mind, if you hook them up to a polygraph, would say truthfully that they believe the best 12 teams are in the college football playoff. They would fail. Anybody would fail. The entire committee, if you hook them up to a polygraph and ask, do you think the best 12 teams are in there, they would fail. And then so now what they've said is it's not the best team, it's the most deserving. If you hook the same people up that are on the playoff committee that rendered this decision, and you hook them up to a polygraph, you say, do you think the 12 most deserving teams are in the college football playoffs? They would fail miserably if they said yes. The college football fans lost. We have morphed into this 12-game system, which we all thought as fans meant that we were going to get at a minimum, like, and you said it, sort of cliche, there's no way the 13th best team could possibly win. Well, 13th best team according to the playoff committee, which is Notre Dame, absolutely could win. Vegas has shown that. They have the 4th best chance of winning according to Vegas, and yet they're going to be at home. So who loses? The college football fans. And for all of you Notre Dame haters, your hate is so irrational that it makes me sick to my stomach, that are crip walking and dancing and partying because Notre Dame going to be home. Oh, we finally got vindication over Notre Dame. Listen, you idiot. If you love college football, you should want the best teams out there. You shouldn't want a team that could possibly win it to be at home. That's if you love college football. A lot of y'all just love talking. What they need to do is start restricting the characters that some of y'all assholes are able to offer on social media because you sound dumb. I mean, dumb. There's nobody who thinks the best teams are there. Yet there are groups of fans celebrating because down goes Notre Dame. No, down goes college football. Down goes our enjoyment of watching the teams go play competitively. That's what just went down. Mm-hmm. And oh, by the way, and it's just worth saying, because I said it last week, the college football playoff committee did something that was brilliant. Because back in the 80s, this thing called Catholic versus convicts, because of the cultural dynamic that lies there, and I fell for it too, the banana in the tailpipe, I spent all week arguing with Miami fans. When I said last week, we shouldn't even be arguing with each other. This ain't about us. But we all fell for that trap. It shouldn't have never been about Notre Dame and Miami. Both teams should have been in. But because of the SEC bias, because this dude who looked like Pinky in the Brain, Paul Feinbaum, has the most profound platform and a voice that brainwashes people into thinking that the SEC is better than God himself. Forget what you see. Remember the eye test? Forget what you see. Alabama has looked bad. Forget that. The SEC is so powerful that we got to assume that loss has to be discounted because it was in the SEC. Every single team, including Ohio State, took a little bit of a ding by losing its conference championship. Instead of the 1, they're the 2. BYU took a ding for losing its conference championship. The playoff committee did something that has never been done. Never. Alabama didn't move an inch, despite not just losing, but getting embarrassed. -3 rushing yards. And so if you want the public to sound stupid and act stupid, you roll Paul Feinbaum's dumbass out there. And you keep saying the same thing over and over and over again. And then we just repeat it. The other thing we keep repeating is, well, if they want to make it in, they should join a conference. I turn it over to you, Big Flo.
Yeah, so that's always been one of those things where I'm like, let's dig into that. Let's unpack that, right? So I look and say the SEC, Big 12. I didn't look at the SEC and the Big 10. I believe most conferences you have to play 9 games in the conference. So how many ACC games would you say that you think Notre Dame played this year?
I happen to know the information, but the agreement says at least 5, and then I know that they played an extra one.
So the argument would be you need to play in a conference because you need to be playing consistent talent. You need to be playing some of the best, right? So then I start doing from more of that research. Got the music?
Hold on. I like that. I got that research of that thing. Wow. It is. I got that research.
I try to peel back the onion.
I got some real. I got to find. Hold on. You got some what? You got some what?
A little research.
A little research? Hold on.
A little research. Okay.
Reggie's research coming. Let's do it.
So Notre Dame, Notre Dame didn't play anybody this year. Okay. So we played 5 conference scheduled games that we were obligated to contractually. We added a 6th in Miami, right? So now we're just 3 short of the conference requirement that people had to be in a conference. We played Texas A&M, played USC, we played Boise State, who was in the playoffs last year, who won their conference. So even when we went down to Group of 5, we found one of the better Group of 5. We played Navy, who only had 1 loss beside us and would have played for their championship.
And that loss was North Texas, who was still in the hunt to be in the doggone college football playoffs until the last week of the season. And they went at it with North Texas, ended up losing by 2 touchdowns, but it was a great game. They beat USF, they beat FAU, and everybody will laugh at Navy, but like you got to watch the games, man. You can't just
they were 9-2, and it came down to tiebreakers why they didn't play in the championship because they lost to North Texas, and North Texas played for their championship.
Paul Feinbaum type people. All we do is repeat what they say. But go ahead.
Then we played Arkansas. I think there's some irony there that the committee chair is the Arkansas AD, and we played Purdue.
Arkansas was terrible, but even if you look at what Arkansas did to SEC teams and how they battled, Arkansas went toe-to-toe with everybody except 2 games. The biggest blowout by far was Notre Dame. On the road, away. But, I forgot. This year, they don't want us to pay attention to point differential and how you won. Wink, wink. I digress. Go ahead.
You're right. I mean, they got whooped by Texas, whatever. They Mississippi State. Yeah, okay. They got some whoopings in there, but at the end of the day,
look at the close games. Look at who they played closely.
I mean, they played Texas A&M close.
Who was the number 1 team at one point?
Yeah, they lost by 3 to them, and then
not number 1 ranked, but people were saying was the best team.
So at the end of the day, we played those teams. So people say, "Oh, well, your schedule sucks." Well, you can go in hindsight and say, but when you sign, I don't know if anybody understands how things work with sports, other than your conference games, which are not up to you. So those 5, you have to play whoever that were there. Other teams have to play the 9 that were there. You got to schedule these games in a few years out, right?
Right.
And Notre Dame not being a conference, we got to figure out who is available to play. So we find Arkansas. How are we to know that Arkansas is going to be trash? Are they historically a trash program? No. They've had some stuff. Now, Purdue hasn't been a powerhouse lately, but shit, who Who knew Indiana would be the number one team in the nation?
And the Purdue, the Indiana connection, the Notre Dame Purdue has been one of the rivals that they have out of the Big Ten. So makes sense.
So it makes sense. We play there. We're playing USC. They were a powerhouse for many generations as a program that we keep playing them every year.
And they were projected to have a great year. USC was projected to have a great year, and it's still ranked.
And they're still ranked. I mean, they're still ranked. Play Texas A&M, SEC team that's been a solid powerhouse team and probably had their best season that they're going to have. Again, we lost to Miami. We lost to A&M, but it's not like we schedule these teams.
And that's the other part. How you lose doesn't matter this year. But again, if you hook anybody up in that committee to a polygraph and you ask them about the loss that Notre Dame had to Texas A&M with the holding on 4th and goal at about the 15 and say whether or not they really believe Notre Dame lost that game, at least 80% of them would fail if they said yes. It was a missed call on an obvious holding that would have been a sack to end the game. We got there and lost by 1 because of the operation on a point after touchdown, where a backup quarterback just drops a well-snapped ball and we don't get the extra point. And yet we're not supposed to take this into consideration when every year that I can remember, these sort of details matter. And that happened in September. It was the week after Labor Day.
Then they go back and say, well, we went back and we all watched the Miami game, and really they beat the hell out of Notre Dame. They won by 3.
Yeah, they whooped our ass the first half. They whooped our ass the first half.
Yeah. And then we came back with a quarterback in his first start in a bowl-like atmosphere, came back, and we fell short by 3, right?
In a record crowd at Hard Rock Stadium, but I know we're not valuable. It's the most people that ever sat their stinking asses in a game and watched the University of Miami game. I digress. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, yes, we played some bad teams, but I went.
Wait. I was one of the people in the stands. I'm talking about myself. I guess I was stinking an ass.
So I went back and I also looked because we're talking about conference play. I went back and I said, let's look at Ohio State. Ohio State played, I believe they played Grambling, right? That was one of their choices. You know, they had 9 games dictated, but when they had the 3 that they had to go pick, one of them was Grambling. They didn't of the top 5 teams in the Big Ten. Michigan is the only team that they played that was in the top 5 of the Big Ten, right? Top 6 teams in the Big Ten. Michigan is the only team that they played in the regular season. They played Indiana, they lost. My point is,
they played Texas, good game. Came down
but I'm saying in their conference.
Oh God, in the conference. Sorry,
it is where they play. So my point is, even when you're in a conference, they had a cupcake schedule. Their schedule, you know, we had the 44th ranked strength of schedule. They were 45th, and Indiana was 46th. So even when you're in a conference and you're there, it's not like that's just going to make your strength of schedule harder. So the number 1 and number 2 teams in the nation had the 2 weakest strength of schedules of the Power 5 teams that made it in the playoffs. So when you peel back the onion, what are they really saying about it? They say, oh, well, you don't have to play in a conference championship game. Okay. Miami didn't play in their conference championship game, and they're not even, you know, it's one thing when you don't make your conference championship game, but then the conference champ makes it. Your conference champ doesn't make the playoffs. The best
with 5 losses.
The runner-up didn't make the playoffs, but you came in at number 3. There's only 3 teams that won a Power 5 conference that are in the playoffs. There's 5 teams that sat at home that didn't have a game that are in the playoffs. So where are you saying something that we should be in a conference that would change things? I've already showed you that we're playing as many or more Power 5 teams or Power 4 teams as anybody in the conference, right? We're going out there, we're picking our crossover games. We're picking. We've got better crossover games than some of the crossover. We don't have a Grambling. We did play Tennessee State
a few years ago,
but you know,
which was more historical than anything
else. But we're playing crossover games that are on par or better than other people's crossover games. And there's a bunch of people. There's 12 teams in the playoff. There's only 10 conferences in the country. So it's not like everybody's playing the conference championship and winning the conference to get in there. So the thing is, everything that you say about a conference, help me understand it. You're just mad because you don't like the fact that they don't have to share the money. Now they're saying they're trying to come together and say teams don't want to play us. They're not going to play us.
Let's get there. Let's get there, but let me just stop with the ACC. Because the ACC, victim number 7, I'll say the ACC because they're a victim of their own ignorance. Their tiebreak rule stinks. And so Miami was on the outside looking in from the tiebreak rule. Now, the playoff committee, I think, was determined. Again, if you look at the contract, just follow the money. That's what's pissing me off. Just follow the money. You are literally peeing on my leg and telling me it's raining. Follow the money. The biggest concern for that committee was making sure that the ACC had representation because last year they didn't. The biggest concern the ACC commissioner was making sure that he at least, on his face, publicly, advocated for what he said was one of his members. And then they had the nerve to actually form their crusty, stank breath, lying lips to try to make a case for Duke as the ACC champion with 5 losses to make it into these damn playoffs. And oh, by the way, the ACC is losing because now they very well might lose the partnership with Notre Dame. And for those who say that's not a big deal, shut up. It absolutely is. There's no way around it. I talked about Michigan at the outset in connection with Sharon Moore, talking about they were the 5th highest football program from a valuation standpoint. Notre Dame is 4th. $1.85 billion valuation. Paul Feinbaum wants us to believe that the viewership doesn't matter. First of all, he gave a really misleading data point on First Take because he said, oh, Notre Dame will only have 1 game in the top 20 from a viewership standpoint. Misleading. As of last week, a week ago today, they were the number 6 highest rated game, the Notre Dame-Miami game that was on Labor Day weekend. Misleading because if you look at who has run the show, it's been Fox with the Big Noon, which was genius. The number 1 game was the game. Makes sense. Notre Dame was 6th on that list before the conference championship games. Duh, conference championship games are dictating who's making to the playoff. Duh, conference championship game, the way they schedule them, they make sure that they have a monopoly on the block. Duh, like, what are we talking about here? And yet, because Paul Feinbaum has such a prominent platform, because he's good at repeating dumb shit over and over again, because people are too lazy to just go do some research on your own, you come back to these social media spheres and say shit like Notre Dame should join a conference. You say shit like, oh, they're going to take their ball and go home. You say shit like Notre Dame is, they stuck on themselves. They think too highly of themselves. No, excuse us if we think highly enough of ourselves to say we shouldn't have been screwed in this year's playoffs based on this playoffs ranking leading up to the last show. Excuse our athletic director if he doesn't want to be used as a pawn in your game and used for your ratings just to have a discovery that it was smoke and mirrors the whole time. The problem is that a lot of the programs out there, a lot of the conferences out there don't value themselves enough. This is big business. I'm glad that our AD, Pistol Pete Bevacqua, I'm calling him Pistol Pete because he came out with all guns. I'm glad he said what he said. Him taking that approach, to me, is better than Marcus Freeman putting in our 2s and 3s against Pittsburgh, and therefore the margin of victory was lower than Miami. I'm glad because being nice has gotten us here where Notre Dame is looked at as an entity that people can, we ain't your whipping boy. This ain't your grandfather's Notre Dame. And don't be coming at me thinking I'm going to be the choir boy Notre Dame guy. You're going to get the same heat that you give out. I'm glad that Pete Bevacqua, Pistol Pete, said what he said. And the ACC now backtrack. Big 12 had something to say. I mean, who even knew that commissioner's name? Let me look at it. Make sure I read his name. Brett Yormark had something to say. He didn't like how Notre Dame was responding. Or Brett Yormark, nobody cares what you're saying. And the SEC, being smart, Sankey, I like Sankey, would be a great destination for Notre Dame. Because the ACC, in its guidelines and who they want us to play, is doing a great job in weakening the schedule that everybody complains about. Everybody's like, oh, man, you don't play schedule. You play 5 games in the ACC. What are we talking about? It's circular.
We play 9 Power 4 opponents at least every single season. And at the end of the day, if we didn't do that, then I can understand the argument that we have a weak schedule. But we play marquee and more diverse teams and whatever from different conferences. Obviously, the Pac-12 disappeared, and when we used to play 2 teams from there. But we play SEC, ACC, Big 12. We play every Power 4 conference, Power 5 conference, whatever you want to call them. Every season, every 2 years, we try to play, teams that have historic marquee names. We've played the Texases during the year. We've played the LSUs during the year. We played Arkansas during the year. We played, Nebraska when Nebraska was hot. We played Michigan. We played USC, Stanford. There's nobody who plays the diversity of schedule that we do, and we don't do the SEC.
And you know what people point out? What are they going to talk about when they say you don't play nobody? What's the first thing they're going to say? You know how to repeat what they're going to say. What are they going to say? Who are they going to use as an example of why we don't play?
They're going to say Army, Navy. And we
Army, Navy. We don't even play Army every year. But people say, y'all play Army, Navy, Air Force every year. That's a lie. You're repeating an idiot on TV that's repeating another idiot on TV. We play Navy every year.
Maybe their Google don't work. So another part of this conspiracy I want to say with the SEC. Everyone wants to talk about how great and dominant the SEC has been, right? Last year, the SEC didn't make the Final Four. Not a single team in the Final Four.
And why didn't they make the Final Four last year? Because now that's the other. I'm just repeating the idiot sort of commentary that I've been dealing with all week. The last idiot comment that came by way of my little blue app was basically saying, yeah, but every year y'all go and get your ass whooped by the SEC. What? Just you ain't got to go too far. Just last year, we played a team in Georgia that is in the top 2 this year, and that's who we beat. That's who we beat to go to the championship. But yet, we can't beat the SEC. Last year, we beat not 1 but 2 Big Ten teams in order to advance.
Oh, but Bobby, they didn't have their quarterback. They just won the SEC championship with that quarterback.
Exact same quarterback. And guess what? That Indiana team. That Indiana team that we beat last year is now the number 1 team going into these playoffs with that coach. But if you just repeat what somebody else has said, because they say it over and over again, and you don't have enough love for this game to research a little bit, you say dumb shit. And that's what I'm sick of hearing, is dumb shit. What do you mean we can't beat the SEC? We just beat the SEC.
But the SEC stacked the deck so tight. Right? They've got Alabama playing Oklahoma. So now if Alabama gets beat like they should, because they're really not a good football team this year, I would not say they're not good. They're not an elite football team this year. So they're going to just say, oh, well, we just lost to the SEC. The SEC is so dominant. So, of course, they lost that. Then they have Ole Miss playing Tulane. That's going to be a beatdown for the right to play Georgia. So now you have a guaranteed Final Four team. Indiana's going to probably beat Oklahoma after they beat Alabama. But they're going to give Georgia an opportunity where it's going to, if they do lose to somebody for the Final Four, it's going to be Ole Miss, right? And they're going to have that going in. Then they put in Miami to play Texas A&M. I got a big mouth that follows me around Facebook. I'm not going to mention his name because he doesn't deserve any credit. But he always wants to talk about this, Notre Dame sucks, they're overrated, do whatever. And Miami is his team. I've been trying to bet him $100 on this Texas A&M game. He's been running from that. He acts like he doesn't speak English when it comes to that because he knows damn well Texas A&M going to beat the shit out of Miami. Miami has no business right there.
Should be a good game, though. I will. Here's the thing that I try to be fair about. I try to be fair. Miami does have a good team. They got a good team. I'll give them that. I think it's going to be a good game. That's going to be a good game. It's going to come down to whether or not they can contain the quarterback, but I think that's going to be a good game. That's probably going to be the best first-round game.
So it should. It's 10-7. So at the end of the day, and then I mean, you might think 8-9, Oklahoma and Alabama should be a good game too. But you know that Oregon, James Madison, everyone can't wait to see that. I bet those rankings will be off the charts.
Playing in our face, man. They playing in our face. You could take one of them. Well, I'll take both of them. You playing in my face, bro.
The playoffs last year were the best playoffs yesterday. Other than Notre Dame being snubbed, just as a football fan, this should be another good playoffs this time. I have no idea who's going to win the championship. Last year, I think I had no idea who was going to win the championship. Well, no, last year I thought Ohio State was going to win the championship going into the playoffs because, no, I wouldn't say going into the playoffs
because they lost to Michigan right before that.
No, but they just beat the shit out of Oregon in the Big Ten championship, and so that scared me. They look kind of scary because
they look mad.
Oregon was the big bad wolf to me last year. But look, it's going to be a great matchup. We're going to
and guess what they had to do? This is what's killing me: the hypocrisy. They needed to beat Oregon convincingly in order to even, I won't say to make it in, but that helped their argument considerably.
No, it did help. It did help because they had only lost. No, Ohio State had lost twice, right?
No, they lost to
Oregon and Michigan. They lost to Oregon during the season, and they lost to Michigan.
Yeah.
So you're right.
So they needed it to go in, but guess what? Now you win. It's the hypocrisy and the inconsistency, and it is what it is. Let me just ask you this, because Notre Dame has now been put in a situation where Pete Bevacqua was really upset because the ACC went on a smear campaign against Notre Dame, and people said all they did was bump for one of their member organizations, and it's tomatoes, I guess. But I'm like, yeah, but we're a partner. Yeah, but you're not a member in football. Do you think Pete Bevacqua was right to take issue with the ACC's strategy and how they went about campaigning on behalf of Miami?
I think that they could have treated Notre Dame like a partner, and they could have went after Alabama. If Alabama loses to Georgia, they deserve to be behind. They need to fall behind. The thing about nobody was talking about the Alabama thing, right? That was kind of it. Was
you know why?
The smoke signal was just about the Miami Notre Dame.
You know why? You know why? I'm gonna call it the Paul Feinbaum effect. You put people on TV with a big platform and say dumb shit over and over again. The SEC is just unbeatable. They're great. It's amazing. Don't believe your eyes when you're watching the game and see a team that has -3 rushing yards. Don't let that impact what Paul Feinbaum has told you. That's why. That's why. ACC was guilty of it too. As a conference, they should have been going after Alabama. I agree. Treating Notre Dame like a partner would have been, I think, ideal. And you could have done everything to support the candidacy of Miami to make it to the playoffs without running the Notre Dame-Miami game on the ACC network for 4 straight days. Without comparing Team A, Team B. They're like, well, we never said Notre Dame. Like, you got our records there, and you're now trying to say this team, Team B, Notre Dame, doesn't deserve to be there, and Team A does deserve to be there. When the ACC had all the power. All the power. Just come up with some sensible damn tiebreaker rules. Notre Dame had nothing to do with it. Put Miami in the ACC championship game. They win the ACC, and this is not the conversation that we're having. I'll give you a final word on it, man, before we turn. We got to sprint home now. You muted, Flo.
At the end of the day, can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, at the end of the day, I said this in the last show, and I mean, whoever doesn't make it in should have won more. We should have beat Ohio. We should have beat Miami.
Facts.
We definitely should have beat Texas A&M. Right? It was a mistake.
I think that Texas A&M got some help, but yes, facts.
Well, but we missed a field goal or extra point or something like that.
We missed a PAT and must hold.
We should have won more, right? I'm not going to apologize for our strength of schedule. I think that we put together a strong schedule for what's going on, and five of the games weren't up to us. And I've already showed you where the top 2 teams in the nation right now had weaker schedules than we did, playing in the top 2 conference, one of the top 2 conferences in the country. So, it sucks. I think it led to the bowl game. I don't know if we're going to talk about that specifically, but
yes,
it led to the bowl game situation and what goes on there. And I got stuff to say there. So if we're going to go to that topic, we want to transition that right now.
Let's transition. Because there are people that say Notre Dame took their ball and went home. They're crying. They should play in the bowl game. So was victim number 8 the indie players that don't play and the fans?
I think sometimes when you don't like somebody or you don't like something, it makes you so blind. It makes you speak too quickly. You know what I mean? It happens to us all the time with race conversations in this country. Anytime there's violence, people speak too quickly and don't think about it.
Yeah, and politics, which I didn't think college football playoffs were going to be like, but it's like a freaking House of Representatives. Every district is represented. How's that got to do anything with the best teams being played? But yes, people speak too quickly. So there's
so many factors right now that you have to take a step back and soak in. First of all, this is the second year of the expanded playoffs, right? So there was the 14 playoff forever. Now we have the second team in the expanded playoffs, which we knew were going to make the other bowl games, because they were the bowl games had such a tight grip with their contracts that they became the playoffs. So the second round is at the Sugar Bowl, or the third round is at the Orange Bowl, or the fourth bowl. So now,
and it already has started happening.
It already started happening.
The top draft picks weren't playing. Everybody still questioned whether or not Jalen Smith should have played in the Fiesta Bowl that year when he lost a ton of money. He could have been the first pick of the NFL when he lost playing, got hurt playing against,
and been a Hall of Fame football
Ohio
player.
State.
Think about how good he was coming out and how well he did, despite the fact that he had nerve damage in his foot. Sorry, my back scratched a little bit. But at the end of the day,
that's what this whole show is about, man. We scratching our back,
scratching backs, man.
Everybody hate Notre Dame. We're gonna scratch our own back today.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you got to read the room, right? People are getting paid now, right? There's an investment.
They're not just getting paid; they're getting
more than more than everyone but the head coach. They're getting paid a lot. So you have to think from a university standpoint. First and foremost, there was a vote of the players. My senior year, we had a vote. We were going to go to the Cotton Bowl for the third time. We were 6-6 or something like that, or 6-5-1. I think we were. That's how old I am. We tied. That's old, but we were 6-5-1. We voted as a team not to go to the Cotton Bowl. Coach Holtz came in there and heard about it. He asked us about the vote and said, if you guys don't want to go to the bowl game, I'll call the Fiesta Bowl and tell their ass right now we're not coming. And I've never seen 100 people collectively switch their vote, because Arizona's a lot different than Dallas. So we all decided to go to the Fiesta Bowl. But people don't realize, everyone sits back there and says, man, you're robbing people the chance to put that helmet on one more last time. Man, a lot of people are tired of putting that helmet on. And a lot of people are ready to be done, right? They're ready to go on with their life. So now you have to take a sense of these. I will go out here and I will risk myself to go and win a national championship, which there's an Ohio State guy who already opted off the playoffs because he's trying to go get himself drafted, right? A chance to win another national championship because he said, that's not worth it to me. Then you got to realize there's some young guys who are thinking, I don't really want. Do you really think that our quarterback and Jadavian Price and all these other guys who have eligibility left really want to risk themselves in the BS bowl game?
I think Price is out. He's going to the NFL. So he was done either. Yeah, he's out.
Oh, I thought he was younger.
No, they both are projected to go in the top 3 rounds. They both were All-Americans, and you're not going to have either one of those.
Okay, so our corner is a sophomore, correct? Or is he a redshirt sophomore?
Say that again.
That number 15, the corner, is he a redshirt sophomore?
I think he's got another year eligibility.
He's got another year. He has to come back, and Carr and whoever else. I don't want to get stuck with the names, but the guys who have NFL future pick, do they really want to go play in this meaningless game? The guys who aren't playing, who are seniors, who aren't really getting a chance to go to the NFL, they don't want to play anymore. They're ready to be done.
Some of them want to go into like the backup quarterback, Minchie. Some of them need to get into the transfer portal and figure out what is next for them. Yeah. The landscape of the business of college football has changed. It has been changing. That is not just number whatever, 88.
And what bowl games did you go to?
We opted out of one. We opted out when we lost in overtime to USC, Lou Holtz's last year. We had we were the first year of overtime. We lost to Air Force inexplicably at home, and then we lost another inexplicable game. It's my freshman year, but we opted out.
So you guys decided not to go to a bowl game that year. Now you're from Florida, so when you go home for Christmas, you're down in South Florida enjoying the sun. I live in Chicago. If I could move this camera and let you see what it looks like outside, I didn't come from a lot of money from my family, so the thought of a bowl game was a vacation. You know, I didn't have money to go anywhere. These kids got a lot of money now, and I've had this conversation with a lot of my groups. So they were saying the same thing. I can't believe these guys don't want to do a bowl game and have a chance to go out there and kick it anymore. We already get gear. So when I was coming out of school, bowl time was the only time you got gear. We got no gear for the regular year. Now these guys have Adidas contracts, Nike's contract, Under Armour contract. My son has more Northwestern gear around here that every year he was giving bags and bags away to our family to do whatever because they have all the gear that they need. They don't really care about the little watches and all that kind of stuff. And now these dudes have money.
They
right?
started giving balance to the business. And so with that balance comes different decisions.
If you're a junior or a sophomore or whatever you are at Notre Dame, and you're not going to the bowl game, that's meaningless that you're going to go out there and you're putting the reputation of the university on the line, right? Look what happened to Florida State when they had 30 guys opt out after they got snubbed. And
even Miami last year. Yeah. And what did hold on, I got to do it. Miami, after feeling as though they had a good shot at getting in but didn't get in, guess where Miami went? Hold on.
Pop-Tart Bowl, right?
Pop-Tart Bowl. Man, let them kids go study for finals. Let them go home and be with their family for Christmas.
These dudes have bread now. They're going to be in Cancun. This is going to be the only 3 weeks that they have off for the whole time they're going to be in college because they're going to make the playoffs next year and the year after that. They're going to go out there and
they made it last year.
Yeah, they made it last year.
They're not machines.
Yeah.
They played until the end of January last year. Let them kids go.
So what about the other 9 teams that decided to opt out? And it could be more than that. They decided it wasn't worth it for their schools, universities to go and decided this isn't what they want to go do.
Including Florida State, although they were not 500 because of the academic rule, whatever that AP, whatever that rule is, they were asked to be in a bowl. A lot of teams decided.
Auburn opted out. Iowa State opted out. There's a bunch of people that decided that they didn't want to play, but you want to focus on the Notre Dame. But football is professional at that level now with the checks that they're getting. Wear and tear, you only have so many snaps. God gives you so many snaps on your body. And so now they only have an X amount of snaps, but they can go through. Why are you going to waste it? 3 weeks of practice, playing in a meaningless bowl game, putting a less than its best Notre Dame football thing out there when we're judged so heavily on our brand and next year's preseason ranking.
You go lose, and what's going to happen?
Yeah,
you take a team out there,
and they're going to say you should have never been in the bowl game.
So I told you so. Yep. It's going to hurt your recruiting, and it is what it is. I think the people who say that are just, again, they're haters, and we're going to get to that at the very end. But victim number 9 is ESPN. They don't get to take advantage of the Notre Dame brand. And shout out to the players for making that decision. Shout out to Pete Bevacqua for saying, we're not going out there with a less than full team. That's not the team. That's not the team that played all year. And so we're not going out there to do that. And most of all, shout out to the fact that ESPN, the worldwide leader of sports, doesn't get to take advantage of the Notre Dame brand that people want to tell me, because Paul Feinbaum tells them, is not that valuable. Well, cool, ESPN. It shouldn't be a big deal then. Let us go off into the sunset and do whatever it is we need to do, but you won't have Notre Dame playing on your airways for that bowl season, and I'm happy. The viewers, to me, right, when we talk about Paul Feinbaum, he's trying to make it seem as though viewership is not a big deal. I've already debunked his myth, his very creative way. We say men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Yeah, but numbers can be presented by men, in this case, Paul Feinbaum, in a very creative way. I ain't gonna say he lied, but he sure didn't tell the whole truth. You know, Notre Dame only had one game. Shut your bald head, pinky in the brain looking ass up, Paul, because you're lying and your breath stink. I don't know which one worse, the lying or your breath being stank. But what I do know is you can't just say things to smart people and they rest on that as though it's law and it's fact. No. Smart people going to go do their own research. I did my own research, Paul. And your fun fact that you shared, it wasn't all the way true. It was a little inaccurate. Let's go home with at least not. I'll give you last word on Notre Dame. Notre Dame won't be playing in the bowl season.
Yep. I think, one thing that really probably bothers people too about this. So for those of you who think that we finally got them, Notre Dame has a little clause that started a year too late. But if we finish in the top 12, we are just like you got the JMUs, which I haven't heard as many complaints as I thought, or the Tulanes forced into it. We're forced into it. So we are forced at large if we're a top 12 finisher. So As long as the AP and coaches and all those people get us with the thing with the top 12, they can't squeeze us out. But we're gonna win all of them next year. It doesn't matter. We're gonna win them all.
I love it.
Beat y'all ass. We coming.
We coming. We is coming. And I think Notre Dame, man, when it's all said and done, the fact that the week has been owned before Sharon Moore said, hold my beer, owned, whether you love or hate Notre Dame. I would say the real victims are the other teams, the 12 teams that did make it. We spent the whole week talking about Notre Dame, and you want to tell us that Notre Dame is irrelevant. We spent the whole week finding anybody and everybody that was a Notre Dame supporter, commenting on their pages, telling us why we need to join a conference, telling us why we're meaningless now. Notre Dame won the week. Whether it's good news or bad news, Notre Dame remained in the news. So what Marcus Freeman is going to do, and that staff, get on the road, go recruit, and say just that. A lot of people love us. A lot of people hate us.
All our recruits, everybody signed.
Everybody's going to discuss us. And, oh, by the way, while he probably won't win it, Notre Dame gets mentioned all week because we got a Heisman finalist. So I'll go back to Notre Dame being the victim. And the show is entitled Hail to the Victims. I'm happy we're the victim. I'm happy you want to talk about us. I'm happy you're jealous because I told one dude, man, it is obvious that you got that rejection letter. Because as you keep discussing us, as your filthy, stinking mouth fixes itself to say those words, Notre Dame, you're doing us a favor. And you'll continue to do us a favor because your hate is built on irrational behavior. You can't
I
stop.
hope my name feels like ass when you speak it, or tastes like ass when you speak it. Hey. So
anyway,
I'm done, man. You know what? We've said it before. We said it again. Till next year.
Till next year, baby. Let's get quickly through some other topics, man. We got to get home. Jalen Hurts, victim number 11, Jalen Hurts. Was Jalen Hurts just a victim of early success? He had a record 5 turnover game. Eagles fans are wondering, like, what's going on? Is victim number 11 Jalen Hurts? Is he just a victim of early success? Are we seeing the true Jalen Hurts, or is it just a bad week or bad few weeks for Jalen Hurts?
I think the NFL has been a classic overreaction overreaction league. We love them fast, we love them too fast, and we dump them too fast. It's just too quick. Everything's turn and burn. You can say what you want to say about Jalen. You call him game manager. You can, what's his name? Might say he's right now.
Cam Newton.
Cam Newton can say he's right, but the man won a Super Bowl, right? That's the most coveted prize in all of sports.
He's been to 2.
He's been to 2 Super Bowls. So say what you want. He's having a bad season, bad slump, doing whatever he wants to go do. If you think he sucks, Eagles fans, cut him. We'll see how long it takes him to find a team.
No, well, maybe that's victim number 12 then, because they ain't nobody gonna cut him. They didn't pay him. Are they stuck with him?
Ah, hell no. Cut him. Try to see if you trade him. See if somebody won't take him. I know there's a lot of teams out there that wouldn't mind having Jalen playing for him. So 5 picks, that sucks. It's terrible. Brett Favre was a hell of a quarterback. He threw more picks than anybody you ever met.
Gunslinger, they would call it. He doesn't get the same gunslinger but we'll see. That was victim number 12. And now I end with this, man. Victim number 13. Black women. So Joy Reid, who was on MSNBC, I think she was on CNN at one point, but is a notorious political TV figure. More than just politics. She's more of a news figure, I would say. No longer on MSNBC. Stephen A. took a shot at her. And I don't know how this came about, but she was on Carrie Champion's podcast, and essentially it was saying that Stephen A. is getting paid to disparage white women. She talked about
black women.
I'm sorry, black women. Sorry about that. Black women. She talked about how that number that he's getting paid, which is astronomical number, is not because of his viewership. He showed the numbers, and most news outlets have better numbers, better ratings. It's because you're saying essentially the stuff that the mainstream white America wants you to say about black people, and it just sounds a little more profound and has a little more impact when it comes out of the mouth of, and I'm going to use the word that she used, a Negro. Do you think Joy Reid has a point here? Stephen A getting a lot of money, man, but let's go down the list. Stephen A has recently taken on Carrie Champion. Joy Reid was on her podcast to talk about. Stephen A has recently taken on Michelle Obama. Stephen A has taken on Representative Jasmine Crockett and also Joy Reid. Joy Reid decided that it was time for shots to be fired. Does she have a point that Stephen A is a puppet to say things about black women that mainstream wants to be said, but is a little scared to say it? So they equip a Negro with a whole bunch of money and a large platform to say it. I know that's loaded. That's why I'm putting the question to you.
So I tried sometimes. I make my Trump little jokes here and there, but I usually try to avoid politics and try to minimize some of that stuff, keep the show lighthearted, do whatever. But those that know me beyond this, know that when we have political conversations, I always say that there's always going to be the black pawns on Fox, right? The conservative talking shows will use up the blackface. Anybody who's willing to come up there and, hey, are you willing to get on here and talk shit about blacks? They do the same thing with women. Hey, are you willing to come here and be a woman and bash women and do whatever? Yeah. All right, we'll use you up. And I always say, where are they now? Think in your mind, is the sheriff from Milwaukee that was out there during the Trump campaign, or the goofy black lady that were for Trump, those people, all these faces that you see, right? They get used up and spit out. Candace Owens.
Omarosa? You told us goofy black
Omarosa was on there. Now they have, Candace Owens luckily got it for herself. Not a fan, but luckily for herself, got her own platform, and she kept it going. But they use her, chewed her up and spit her out. And now Stephen A. Smith. I've had people say, oh, man, Stephen ran for president. I'd vote for him. I knew with people telling me that when they said it, that I knew I wouldn't want to hear it. I've never listened to his political conversations at all because I just
He's gotten super political lately.
I have not wanted to hear it. I didn't like him that much.
Him and Dan Le Batard. This all started with him and Dan Le Batard getting into it, and they don't share the same politics. Stephen A. basically dismissed it, and then also he took a shot, and Joy Reid caught a stray, but Joy Reid and waited months to do it. Chose the platform to do it. But when she fired back, she wasn't using no little P-22. She came out with the bazooka gun. Shit. They pay you all that money because they know they can put these words in the mouth of a Negro.
And I agree. I agree with her 1,000%. And he's just one in the long line of it. And he's going to fall victim to it. He's going to take the cash and do whatever and have the unpopular opinions and do whatever. Because, they're in a desperate. I mean, now it's getting more socially acceptable to say whatever the hell you want. I know there's, I can't remember the white dude's name with the Spanish last name, whatever.
That's Le Batard. Dan Le Batard?
No, not Le Batard. I'm talking. He's not a sports guy. He's this little young dude. You might not even mess with him.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry.
But he's like, you should cross the street if black people walk down. He's as racist as you can get. But he's mainstream. I mean, they put him on shows and all that kind of stuff. He's like, you're within your rights. He's like, I don't want to live by black people. I don't want my kids around black people. Like, he don't give a fuck. I can't remember what his name is, but
I'm glad I don't know.
His last name is Fuentes, but he's a white dude. He looks like a white dude. But now, those guys can just come out and just fire shotguns, right? They don't care anymore. So you're going to see less and less black people on the conservative talk circuit because they don't need them anymore. They're just going to bring guys that don't care, people that just aren't mainstream that don't care. But she's right. She called him out. I'm glad she did. He's going to go off. He'll be mad. He'll respond. But she called him out, and it's fine.
Just because of fraternal connections, Stephen A. is a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. I'm gonna punt on Stephen A. I get where she's coming from. Right is right, wrong is wrong. I think what we have to do is ask ourselves, all right, and be very candid. Like, when is principle more important than profit? And I'll leave it there. I don't know where Stephen A's line of demarcation is there. But being accused of being paid to say things that are disparaging to black women, I've got, Lord rest her soul, an amazing black mother who raised me, 3 amazing black sisters, a black wife, black, nieces. I would just say, if that is the case, then shame on him. I hope that's not the case. Maybe it's just he hasn't really checked himself in the sense that he gets away with being very provocative and taking some really polarizing positions as it pertains to sport. And when you think of the risk of taking very polarizing positions when it comes to sport, it's really low risk business. Mm-hmm. Even though I'm mad and I'm saying it with my chest, people hating on Notre Dame, cool. As long as you don't walk up to me and put your damn hands on me, I don't give a damn if you like Notre Dame or not. I got not 1 but 2 degrees from Notre Dame, and they help me provide the life that I provide for my family. So I don't really care if you don't like Notre Dame to end, right? Matter of fact, hold on. Put my Notre Dame hat on.
I'm about to say, that there wasn't a haircut under that hat.
Yeah,
I don't know what you were so quick to display that, but okay.
I put my Notre Dame hat on. Okay. I really don't care if you don't like Notre Dame. I think Stephen A. might be underestimating the risk, the stakes that are at hand when you're talking politics, and especially if he is, as Joy Reid accuses him of doing, targeting black women, a category that in this country, being black is one thing. You exponentially deal with some shit when you're a black woman. Those are 2 categories that put you in a very unique quadrant. So if he's right, shame on Stephen A. I'll take the high road and not say for sure. I'll take the fraternal high road and say, I don't know for sure, so I can't say one way or another.
One thing I'll say with this, I just want to be clear. I think that, we're out here, we do our show, and Stephen A's got a bigger audience than we do. I don't feel
now, for now.
Just we for coming, today, baby. For yesterday, because we only do once a week. But on Fridays, I like to compare our numbers. But I think if to be taken seriously, you have to be honest, and you have to be able to take shots at people, whether they're in your fraternity, in your racial group, whether they're your religion, whatever group they are. To be taken seriously, you need to have a critical. And that's how I usually judge people that I have a conversation with politically. If they'll never ever say anything negative about their own political group, I just write them off and just say whatever. But right. I will say this: if you are on a platform where you're the only person that has the liberty to say the negative thing that you said, know that that's why you're there. And what I mean by that, for those that aren't following along, is if you are one black face in a room full of white faces and you get to say something negative about a black person because you are black that they can't say, that's why you're there. And you probably shouldn't say it. That's probably not the audience to say it. If you're on a panel and there's 5 black people and you so choose to go in a little bit more, there's a...
You muted. I don't know what happened. But as you get your technical difficulties, right, you're still muted.
But the only person in the room that can say that negative thing, don't think that's a coincidence.
Fair.
Right? Know that you're being used and you're being played.
Fair.
It's like us bringing a woman on here to call another woman a woman of the night.
Woman of the night.
Streets. Right.
All right, fair, man. I'll give you that. I'll go home with this, bro. Because we're gonna go to Ball Hawk Spotlight moment. What I didn't say about the ACC, and everyone's trying to again make us think that Notre Dame is not influential. What Pistol Pete Bevacqua, such a cool last name. What Pistol Pete pointed out is that on average, the ACC teams sell out 23% of their games. When Notre Dame plays there, they sell out 90% of their games. The Hard Rock Stadium, where we played the University of Miami, had its highest attendance. They broke the record when Notre Dame was there. If you don't understand the finances of this, I love being your victim. I love being your talking point. because the more you talk, the more valuable we become. I forgot to give that data point when it came to stadium sellouts. So I will go with this, my man. We got Ball Hog Spotlight moment. It has been an amazing show. Hail to the victims episode of the Ball Hog Spotlight, of the Ball Hog Sports Talk Show. As you're getting your Ball Hog Spotlight moment ready, I'm going to ask everyone, like we ask you every week, humbly, please like, please comment, please share, please tag a friend, please tag a foe, please tag anyone that you know, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel and the podcast. We're gonna be coming out with shorts and reels this week. Circulate them things, man. If you don't like Stephen A being the one bobblehead black dude up there saying crazy stuff, put the other bobblehead up there. That's Big Flo and me. I didn't expect that.
You didn't think I was paying attention to you.
I didn't think you was listening. I thought I was going to get a free one. But let's go home with the Ball Hog Spotlight moment. What you got for us, Big Flo Show?
Another victim. Asia Wilson. She was Time Magazine Athlete of the Year. And it happened to fall on the same weekend that Donkey of the Day came out, on the same week. So I want to give her a shout out. I think that there's been a huge push for women's sports. Yeah. Well deserved. There's been a huge push for the WNBA specifically. Well deserved. I think Caitlin Clark has taken the lead on a lot of that. Well deserved. I think Asia Wilson shows you that she was the backbone that Caitlin Clark was able to help produce, and well deserved. She was the Athlete of the Year. So I want to give her flowers for that, and I want to say, I'm sorry on behalf of the monkeys that have overshadowed, the monkeys on the committee, and then this goofy guy that is at Michigan this year to kind of take away from your week. You know what I mean? Yeah. But nobody could take it away because it's a hell of an honor. I believe it said Athlete of the Year. I believe it was
across all
genders. Across both genders. So whatever you did it. So hats off, clap to you. We've been well documented and supported.
We gotta give Asian.
Little sound effect with your turn. We've been trying to champion and push the WNBA and women's basketball. I think we've covered it a lot on this show.
Absolutely.
And we've been a big supporter. So we will continue to shout out with that.
Yeah. I'll go home with this. We all might be victims, not just victims of the bullhorn, large platform idiots like Paul Feinbaum, not just victims of the new political process that has been introduced to college football, having so many representatives from every district, but we are close to being a victim of finance invading this college football game that we love. What I mean by that, for the first time ever, University of Utah, them Utes, they broke the private equity seal with a historic $500 million investment. They'll go down in the NCAA history as the first college athletic department to accept private equity money. This template, we'll see if it works or not. But truth be told, having spent some time on Wall Street and in finance, this scares me. And it scares me this week because the process to select the teams seemed so much less about picking the best teams and so much more about air quote politics, aka the money. So let's hope that this private equity invasion of college football doesn't further weaken the purity of the game that we love. This has been a great show, man. Hail to the victims. I know longer than normal. We're gonna dice it up, mix it up, and give it back to you. Any last words, Big Flo Show?
Hey guys, lately we've been putting shorts out there on our YouTube channel. Please take a like to those if you see fit, something you like, forward it to your friends. I know this is a 2-hour episode, and a lot of people don't have 2 hours to give us, but they do want to keep some of the snippets, and we're trying to up the uses of our show. We've been doing this for fun for a few years, but we're trying to see how far we can take this. So like it, share it. Again, if you can't share the whole show, look at the shorts that are posted on YouTube. There's going to be a TikTok channel that comes out pretty soon and thing there, but you definitely can find it on the YouTube. And just forward a couple of the shorts out. See if people appreciate what we have to say. If you appreciate what we have to say. So thank you.
I agree with that, man. Hell to the victims, right? We the victims. Man, we be giving y'all everything. Our heart, blood, and soul. And y'all act like
my
y'all
microphone
can't share.
falling apart. I need it coming out. You know what I'm saying? Trying to
just need a little bit of help, man. Help a brother out. It's been a great show, man. The Big Flow Show from the Middle Coast in the building. I'm your boy, B Brown ESQ, aka the Ball Hog, aka the Mouth South, aka Mr. Accessible, aka Breezy, aka Councilman Brown, aka Coach Bobby, aka a victim. But this has been a phenomenal show. Keep coming, all of you snipers who hate Notre Dame. I'm here for it, baby. Bulletproof vest. I stay strapped, and I'm gonna shoot back. This is not your grandfather's Notre Dame.
I don't know where that just came from.
Yeah,
okay.
I know. Yeah, I felt like right before
just feeling violent at the end of the show. I just felt
froggy, so I'm going to leave.
Choose violence. I want problems.
Yeah, man. Been a great show. Y'all enjoy your weekend, man. Enjoy the college football playoffs. Enjoy NBA as it ramps up. Enjoy college basketball as it ramps up. Enjoy the NFL playoffs as we near the end of the regular season. I didn't get to talk about Shedeur Sanders, but I'll go home with Shedeur. Shedeur is the other victim. He's a victim of Kevin Stefanski. How are you going to take the quarterback out on a 2-point conversion after the man threw for 360 yards with 3 touchdowns and became the first rookie to do that this year? You know what? Shedeur is a victim too. Hang in there, Shedeur. Perfect timing. And that perfect timing is because we is out. Peace.
Wake up. Wake up.